All right, everyone, welcome back to this would be what episode 12 of the Slowest Fast RC podcast. Got Taylor, Mike, Davey might be joining us later, and then we have a special guest or two joining us in a little while. But until then, we're gonna roll a disclaimer and get on with Taylor. Would you like to talk about what we're gonna feature in this episode first before we roll a disclaimer?
Yeah, we got a brief little itinerary now. It was suggested to us. So we're going to talk about the upcoming events. We'll recap our point series after Silverstate concluded and look at a couple of standings real quick. Then we're going to recap our own events that we've been to and tell everyone why we've been missing in action for about the last week or so. And then we'll bring in our special guests.
Alrighty, here's a disclaimer before we do all that. Disclaimer. You're about to listen/watch a podcast hosted by a group of friends who tend to use vulgar language and profanity, and also enjoy pounding adult beverages. Viewer discretion is advised. Lastly, we may be making some bold statements. All views and statements made in this podcast do not reflect the views of any sponsors, guests, followers, or any supporters of this podcast. So be cool and don't get offended. Thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoy. And we're back. Alrighty, so as Taylor said, we got lots of things to go over. Taylor, would you like to lead us off?
I would love to, Alex. So what we got for upcoming events, May 10th is the A-Main Challenge at Rhythm RC. May 15th through 18th, of course, is the LCRC Northeast Showdown. May 31st is the Nitro Challenge at Trains and Lanes. Also, May 31st is a Spring Bling Cash Race presented by Dog Days at Pit Stop Hobbies. Who's going to be the announcer for that one, Alex?
That would be me. I'll be on the horn.
And due to scheduling conflicts there and the changes, I didn't write down the WCRC date. When are they having a race, Alex?
Yeah, it was a whole bunch of kerfuffle, but WCRC is actually going to be able to race this upcoming Saturday, May 10th. It'll be their season opener. Practice at 8, on the tone at 11. I won't be able to be there. I'll be at a wedding, doing wedding things. But the owner, Josh Boring, he'll be doing the program bit. So, yeah, that'll be another fun race in the southwest side of the state.
Mm-hmm. You guys know of any other upcoming events?
Yep. 412?
Oh,
Raceway
yeah.
is on the 24th. And then TR Speedway's opening day is supposed to be on the 31st. So.
Got it. Let's move on to our point series here real quick. You guys both had a chance to look at our manufacturer point series and the driver's point series?
I did look at it. I'm going to pull it back up, though.
I'm going to pull it up on the Facebooks.
So after the Silverstate race, Mason Fuller took a full sweep, complete domination. I'm not sure if that's ever been done, to my knowledge at least.
No, it hasn't, according to Will and Trigger's stat guy.
Okay. So Mason Fuller won. I'm going to go back over what a couple of our predictions were on
Way
the
off.
previous podcast. So I predicted Mayfield, Fuller, and then Van Dalen after it was announced that Lutz wasn't going to be there. So Mayfield broke out, and he took, 16th, I think?
Yeah, he didn't do well.
No. And he caught a little bit of kerfuffleage and then ended up clipping a pipe, I'm going to say maybe roughly 10 minutes in, and the marshal didn't see him at all. So it kind of tough break for him, and then he just kind of kept dropping further back. Mike, you had Mayfield, Fuller, and I kind of crossed it out, but I think you also had Seth Van Dalen. I think we had the same.
I did. Yeah,
Yeah.
Van Dalen.
Then Alex, I don't think you got a chance to change your predictions because you had Lutz in first,
Yeah.
Mayfield second, and B Rose in third.
Yeah, I did not change. I didn't know Lutz wasn't attending and he was doing the Asian Buggy Championship, but I was still wrong, so it doesn't matter.
All right, we're all gonna be wrong. Did you guys get a chance to watch the race?
I did not.
The Silverstate
Not
race?
yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
I actually watched it a little bit at work last night,
Mhm.
so I watched Nitro Buggy, and kind of ended just how you kind of assume. Mason led tone to tone, did pretty good. So
The
Thanks
Iceman
for
was on
spoiling
it.
for me.
Yeah. Don't watch the Titanic. Surprise, the boat sinks.
Oh, come on, man.
Oh,
It's queued
spoiler
up
alert.
right after this.
So where that brings us to for a driver's point shootout, that actually has Ryan Mayfield and Mason Fuller tied for first place. So I thought that was pretty surprising. Seth Van Dalen in third.
yeah, he's not far
Adam
behind.
Yeah.
The
I'm
top
surprised to see
six.
Adam Drake's in fourth. I mean, I'm happy for him. and
Consistency.
I know he's got there. Yep. It's showing up to all the races and being consistent.
Yep.
That's what it takes. And then C. Lime in fifth, which I was kind of surprised about as well. Good for him. And then I'll skip over to our manufacturer point shootout. So Technos.
I got it pulled up here on the display. I just want to butt in real quick and make a note that drivers only get points if they make the A main at the races we selected to include. And so the point series that's pulled up on for the viewers here, only the top 6 are in that 300 point mark, starting with Jonah Wilson in 6th place with 362 and on up, and then Juan Carlos Canas is in the 7th spot with 291. So it's worth noting that everyone that doesn't have 300 or more points either didn't make the A main in one of the races or just didn't go to that race. So I feel like that's worth noting. And
Absolutely.
And then it's worth noting that Dakota Fenn gets a, honorary bye because he's on baby leave. Lutz also gets a bye because he's doing the Asian Buggy Championship. I mean, the points won't reflect that. I'm just saying. I get it, guys. But I just wanted to butt in with that real quick.
Did you guys watch the Asian Buggy Challenge at all?
I saw some clips, and the track looked like pavement, so that was neat. But other than that, I didn't watch
Some
any
of the
racing.
clips are really good. Ongaro and who's running from Ayako over there? Is it
I'm not sure.
Boots?
Maybe.
Perhaps.
Maybe.
They were
I thought
battling.
Boots was S-Works.
I think you're right. Now I don't want to speak out of turn because I'm not sure. Somebody's running Mayako over there.
Boots as S-Works.
Boots is S-Works. Yeah. Boots is
Okay.
S-Works.
And lots up over there, of course. And for the manufacturer point shootout, Techno still in first place. S-Works in second. Kyosho third. Kind of fee little bump long there. Bringing some points there out of Silverstate. Great finish for him. Associated now up to fourth place and Mugen in fifth.
It is it's amazing how far ahead Techno and S-Works is. Like, second place is almost 100 points out of third place. And then first place is 50 points out of second place. That's all. I'm not trying to say anything.
After Silverstate, though, there was a huge, like S-Works got a ton of points from Silverstate.
Oh, yeah. And it definitely hurt Techno that Mayfield broke. It hurt Mayfield, of course, as well, but it hurt Techno. Yeah. Because Mayfield, their top driver, broke out. Because that's first place is 15 points, right?
Yeah. First is 15th, and then it goes down from there.
Yeah, so I mean.
And TQ 1 point.
Yeah, and I'm not saying if Mayfield didn't break, he would have beat Mason, but they lost 10 points there. I would have guaranteed Mayfield to be in at least the top 5. So.
And then Mason's brother, Caden, I think he got 6th place.
Yeah.
Austin and S-Works.
Yeah.
So
it's It's interesting to see the cookie crumble here as the season goes on.
You guys got any more things to bring up about our point series before we move on to what we've been up to?
I just want to note that in the driver standings, it's only 22 points from 6th to 1st. So they're all
It's
super,
tight.
super close. Yeah.
I like it.
Yep.
Who you guys rooting for? Anyone in particular?
I'm rooting for Van Dalen, personally.
I'm just sticking with Mayfield. Just hard to bet against, man.
No, it's a safe bet. Like if betting and rooting is different, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So,
like rooting, I want to see like Spencer and Joey do really well.
Yeah.
Just because they're local guys to us, right?
Right.
But as far as overall, like Mayfield. But
yeah, and I'd like speaking local. I'd like to see Lee go up there as well. You know, especially on the Sparko train. I like seeing the newer companies excel. But you know, it's a stacked field amongst the rest of it, so it's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out.
yeah, I'm definitely rooting for quite a few of these guys after being able to meet a lot of them personally and being such nice people. It's like,
Right.
I don't want to say I'm rooting for this one guy because I want to root for the other guy too, but I'll be honest, betting just like Mike said, it's hard to bet against Mayfield.
Oh yeah,
So.
it is.
All right, Alex, do you want to tell all the viewers where we've been missing in action for a little while?
Well, we got to go to the fabulous, point at your shirt, Taylor, the fabulous LCRC Raceway there in Juniata County of Pennsylvania for their Flashpoint Season Opener. What a blast of it. I cannot speak highly enough. I can't believe I've been sleeping under a rock for the past 10 years of being in this hobby and haven't been there. But it was a record entry count, right? 351 entries for the season opener.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, for the people that haven't been to LCRC and the people that have been, this is good for both of you. Because, I always heard the fable stories of how the blue crew and the blue army, when it rains, then all these blue shirts just pour out onto the track and bam, the track is dry. I'm like, I never doubted it or anything, but I never like comprehended how big of a deal it was until Friday night. It started raining right about 7:00, and it rained until 11:30. As soon as it stopped raining, Gavin Vucina, owner of LCRC, went out and started taking care of the large puddles on the track, and within 10 minutes, he came over the radio. He said, "All right, guys, it's an all play. Let's get this thing dried up." And then by 12:30, we had cars on the track. And I'll have to pull up pictures if someone wants to take it from here while I pull up pictures.
I got a couple of things to touch on about this that you already started talking about too, Alex. I wanted to point out that all of us knew, pretty much every single person going to LCRC that weekend knew that it was going to rain.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we all knew, but it was still that record entry count at 351 entries.
Yep.
For the season opener. I think that's pretty cool. Like, everyone has faith in LCRC to still have the race going on. That's why I try to tell people, like, even looking at the forecast, it almost doesn't matter other than just knowing if I'm going to pack shorts, pants, or boots, with me for the weekend, because we're still going to race no matter what. And honestly, the rain scenario too happened about the best time because it was after practice was finished on Friday. It just started pouring up until the next day, although we don't want 5 inches of rain or whatever we ended up getting. But it only affected about 3 hours of racing in total, I would say, roughly. It just delayed us on Saturdays for qualifiers. And all it really did is
like a pretty full program in too.
Yeah, we got 2 5-minute rounds for qualifying still on that day, compared to, a potential 3 rounds or 2 rounds of 6 or something like that. Still got 2 5-minute rounds of qualifying on Saturday.
And we were still qualifying started, I think it was like 1:19 or 1:20. The first heat ended. Then it was 10:05 p.m. The last round ended for qualifying. So it was 31 heats of 2 rounds. So we were still cooking through the program, you know.
What's significant about that time that you ended on Saturday?
It was later than 9:30, 6 to be exact. So I owe Kevin a case of his fake 0-calorie Bud Light beer.
Yeah.
Lost the bet. Not the first, won't be the last.
So continued talking on about the rain and stuff. I did make notes because this meant a lot. So I wanted to shout out people, and I'm gonna miss a couple people, but Chris and Cash Pieri, Jason Mechanic, Gavin Vucina and his dad, everyone else that kind of came out that day that's not obligated to help, but they came out and helped anyways. Like, it definitely means a lot to everyone. Do you want to go with pictures or anything now, Alex? You got them queued up?
Nope, I can't find any.
Oh. Wah wah.
Yep. It was wet. It was super, because I posted a picture to the podcast story, but I don't think I saved it. And so it disappeared into the cloud and whatnot. But it was bad. Like, it was ponds on the track. And then just all of a sudden there's 40 people on the track with buckets of sawdust and brooms. And next thing you know, it was insane traction. And by the end of Sunday, it was grooved so amazing. That's all.
Yeah, honestly, the water helped the track.
Oh,
if
yeah.
anything.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
Mike, do you have anything else about the water and stuff on the track and rain and all that?
No, but I am finding pictures now. I found some. So
How do you wanna do that? You wanna send them to me,
send
or
the links. Yeah.
are you gonna send them via Discord or Messenger?
Yeah, it'd be easier. So here's some wet ones. Trying to find the picture of that all sawdust up.
Where are you finding them at?
I'm just searching LCRC Raceway, like for people that tag when they post. You know what I mean?
Oh, doing that thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
This is why he's Uncle Mike.
Another topic I have written down that I want to talk about is all the food trucks they had there on site.
Oh yeah.
That was actually awesome.
Yeah.
Everything I had too was really good, by the way.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Uncle Mike and I both had pizza. I know.
Was that
I had
Olivia's?
fries. Olivia's does the fries.
Oh, okay.
They like cut them there on
Yeah.
site.
Yeah. Fresh
And
cut.
then, I don't remember the name of the pizza joint. Mission Pizza. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
that's
And
it.
then
Yeah,
there was a
Mission.
barbecue place. The barbecue was excellent as well.
I didn't try that one, but I want to try. I didn't even know the barbecue one was there.
Yeah, it ended up. Did you see where they parked it, Mike?
Yeah.
Behind the shed there, right behind the shop, where kind of like the metal shed is.
That was
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Q by
I didn't know
Dough.
that's what it was.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I think it was Q by Dough barbecue.
The little things like that help make a race so much more enjoyable because you don't have to worry about leaving. You can just
Right.
walk up to a food truck and grab something to eat real quick, and then go back to your pit
And like,
or in between rounds.
and it's especially like LCRC's not too bad, but you got, what is it, Dean's, that gas station that's nearby. They got good food, don't get me wrong. And then the next closest would be what, Sheets?
Yeah.
But
Sheets and Sal's is right there by the
Yeah.
Dollar General.
so those are all under 5 minutes. Sheets might be about 5 minutes, maybe a minute more. But other than that, you're looking farther. So, but like WOCRC, other than Biggins is the place right next door. Well, next door is still 5 minutes away, but beyond that, Sheets is 15 minutes away. So yeah, very, very neat to have the food trucks right there. You don't even got to leave.
I hate to go out to a race and eat sheets because I have sheets available locally.
Right.
Like I kind of want something different too, you know?
No, that's how I
Yeah.
am. If I travel anywhere, I wanna have the local cuisine, whether I'm an hour away or a country away.
Yeah.
Sometimes though, it's really hard to beat like the dollar hot dogs. So I'm just saying.
I was
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
go there. A
Yeah.
white monster and a dollar hot
If
dog.
I need something cheap
Yeah.
and quick, I'll look for a sheets.
Yeah,
But if
yeah.
I want to enjoy my food and taste it,
Yeah.
Cheap and quick, we're
I-
talking about food, not other side hobbies.
not
here,
not the
Alex.
truck stop.
yeah. Don't go like another half mile down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you go to the truck
Um,
stop, go straight to the shower and then come out. Don't go out back.
Yeah. Alex, I sent you another link. It's actually to Toby's live broadcast. In the beginning of it is them still spreading the wood chips
Okay.
from the morning.
Okay. I gotta remember how to. Oh, here they are. Link. Visit. I'll visit this link. That link, and then I'll go back to the video. Okay. Bam. Okay. So yeah, over here, you can see. Here's shout out to Toby Hansen, 46RC. This is. I'll pause it there. You can see how the track is just covered in wood chips. This is moments before we started practicing, actually. This screen grab right here. There's Kevin on the mic right there telling everyone we're about to practice and go get your cars for latecomers. And if I go over here, that's just a picture of how wet it was. Oh, this is Colin. But yeah, you can see the puddles right there after the Supermoto. Right here on the straight, you can see them developing everywhere. Yeah, right there, there's a big lake on the straight, and in between Supermoto. Yeah. So yeah, it was plenty wet. There's no doubt on the wetness.
But right after that, it ended up being a pretty nice day.
Oh, it was so nice. It was beautiful.
Mhm.
It was a little windy,
about-
but
Talk about the weather on Thursday. 85 degrees.
Just
and sunny.
just a little windy.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the wind. It was pretty windy there.
did you hear how a
Yeah,
tent
there's a
blew over my camper
Yeah.
and then
I
crushed
didn't see it,
another
but I heard
tent?
you say it.
Yeah.
yeah. We know of 2 tents that ejected that day. Yeah.
I think I know of 3.
Alex Burns's, the one
Alex.
that landed on Maya's tent.
Kenny Thompson up front
Oh yeah.
went into Ben Decker's minivan.
Oh Jesus.
Oh jeez.
Then Rob's tent blew away too. Not far. It more shifted. It shimmied over a little bit while he was said he was under working on his car, and all of a sudden it got brighter.
Later.
There was another one in turn 2. I can't remember whose it is. Other big moments of the weekend I wanted to talk about is the guy on the mic.
Yeah, Davey did really good.
Who? Yeah, Davey did great.
And Kevin.
That other guy. That other.
other
guy
guy's a
was,
schmuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were all really pleased with Davey. He did awesome.
No, Davey
All
did.
the kerfuckles everywhere.
He said it like every 5th word. It was hilarious. No, I was super proud of Davey. I was super proud of Davey. I thought he killed it when he was on the mic, and I hope he can keep making events. And Kevin's okay with keeping having him in there, because as soon as Davey and I get coordinated to do the double mic in the mains, I think it'll be really sweet.
I like double mic in it. It definitely makes like quite a bit more interest and things like that. It's
Yeah.
fun to follow.
No, yeah, it's more. It turns less announcing and more commentary. You know what I mean? Because like announcing, you're just announcing the pace, announcing who's in first, how far they're behind. But when you start adding the commentary bit and colorizing it, and you start writing the story that's going on the track, and that goes really nice with 2 people once they get the flow down together. And then you
So
can
you
look
wanna-
at. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. So, do you want to let us know about your experience on the mic over the weekend?
Oh, it was a blast. It was a dream come true. It was the greatest thing ever. Like I had so much fun. Uh, everyone, I worked really hard on Thursday and Friday. Once we had to get into controlled practice, I worked really hard trying to get everyone on and off the track. I wanted to get the pace down before we even started qualifying. I wanted to get everyone to know how fast, like how they should be walking directly off the stand to set their car down and going directly out on the track. And I wanted to keep yelling that and preaching it Thursday and Friday. So when we got into Saturday, then it was just going to happen. And that is pretty much what happened. Now, I did try to accelerate a little more because of the delay. But because of that, we got to really relax towards the second qualifier. Not really relax, but we got to like chill out a little bit because we were doing like really good on time. I wanted to be done by 9:30 per bet, but the main goal was to just be done at a decent time. And 10 o'clock, I think that's still a decent time, all things considered. And then Sunday, I mean, we were cruising really good Sunday. Like when we got to like the C and B mains, like after race 15, Kevin even said like, "Hey, if a guy needs a minute, we got time. Give him a minute." And so it went really well. The racers really kicked ass in that department of getting out to Marshall and being there ready to go and not having any kerfuffles in between. So couldn't do it without them.
I'd like to say, sorry, I got a little choked up there. Just like what you said, and you can really tell that you like doing it. So, and it makes a huge difference
Oh yeah.
between somebody that's just calling out sometimes and what's going on, who's in what pace, and uh, having somebody that actually enjoys doing it, like, makes a big difference. And just being there and around the enthusiasm. So, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I'm sure we all greatly appreciate that.
So I appreciate everyone being there. So there's something to announce, you know. And I want to say real quick, it is kind of tough and it's like hard in the aspect of like main day. I gotta save my voice because I know by A mains and even B mains, I'm gonna be just screaming into the microphone because I'm so excited because there's so much good racing going on. Not that there isn't good racing going on in the E's and the F's and the D's, because there is still great racing going on down there, but I have to save my voice. So like I was rewatching some of it last week or this past week, and like I was like, oh, we got this guy in first, this guy's 4 seconds behind, talking like that, with like no reflection. And if anyone listens to this, I don't want anyone to feel discredited or think I'm not excited, because I am excited, but I have to fight myself to not be excited. Because if I get excited here in the D main, then I'm going to be excited for the next 4 D mains and then some of the C's, and then by the B mains, I'm not going to be able to talk. So, sorry, but it's hard trying to control yourself in that way. That's all.
So, Mike, I got a couple questions for you and your LCRC
Okay.
experience.
hmm
What were your best moments there, and what were your worst moments there of the weekend?
So best moments, I'd have to say just the whole redemption story for myself. Going from the
Yeah.
cancer race to this race, I did very well, and I'm really happy about that.
Do you want to tell
Um,
everybody how you did, in case they didn't see the results?
yeah, I ended up qualifying third in intermediate, but
Mhm.
e-buggy, and what like the eighth, yeah, eighth in the B main of e-truck. Finished eighth in the B main in e-truck, and then finished I think eighth in e-buggy or something like that. Just a bad tire call in e-buggy. It's whatever. It happens. But overall, just
Yep,
happy, just
eighth
happy
place.
with how it is. Yeah.
You have it printed
So
out?
Yeah, I printed out all the results of all the races just in case we need to recap them.
You are a rock star, dude.
yeah.
That's genius. It's got them in a file.
So overall, taking notes for 2 weeks from now when we go back because it's the same layout. So some stuff that I want to do differently. So we'll see how it goes.
Will you tell us what
Um,
you want to do differently?
make a better decision with tires now that I know.
Okay. Yep.
It was my first time on the new compounds that promotion released. So I just made the wrong call for the temperature in the track, and I smoked a brand new set of tires in the 10-minute main. They are almost completely bald. and had not a lot of grip towards the end of the race. So that's the big one. And then just some setup stuff that I was talking to Jim Lonzo about with the e-truck because it was brand new for that race. Rebuilt it. Everything's way smoother now. So we'll see how that goes. But just some link changes that I want to do in the rear of the truck to help keep it planted. It's weird. It's the initial like on power weight transfer. It gets super loose for me in the rear end, and I want to try to get rid of that. So, but and then I'd say bad moments. Uh, I didn't really have any bad moments, but I saw some bad moments. Like, I mean, man, like Chris Patterson, like he went through 2 ESCs, not his
Oh
fault.
yeah.
It just like stuff like that sucks, man. One of them was mine. It was
Yeah.
DOA, like it was brand new. He put it in, it stopped working. So then I felt bad because it was my ESC, but just dumb stuff.
I'm kind of curious, Mike. The e-truck there, it's getting a little squirrely on power when you get into it.
Uh-huh.
What sort of changes are you thinking about to make? Because I started conjuring up a couple ideas in my own head, but I would like to see what you have thinking.
So the only thing right now that I'm going to try just is I'm just going to raise the link up on the tower. It's almost all the way up already. It's full long in the hubs and it's full long in the tower, and it's one spot from the highest point to the inside of the tower. So I'm just gonna go all the way up and see what happens.
Yeah.
And just kind of go from there. But I don't know what else I would do after that. I haven't really thought about it too much, but
Can you adjust the axle height?
I can. Yeah, we talked about that. Right now they're in the lowest position
Okay. I would
on the
leave them
hub.
there personally.
Yeah. Yeah, they're in the lowest position already.
And then what about a like a diff change?
Consider that to where I'd go up a little bit in the rear diff.
Hmm.
Or would it be higher in the front?
The first thing I think
I'd have to
of
think about that.
is down just a touch in the center, or possibly up in the rear. But a lot of times, I think there's like a balance front to rear that you should probably make a change. So if you're going to go up in the rear by a little bit, that percentage should probably go up in the front, correct?
Yeah, like just thinking about what you just said there, I think down in the center would probably be the better choice of the doing the rear because like it's not overly rotaty in turns or anything like that. It's just that initial weight transfer, it gets squirrely, but then it locks in like
Hmm.
really hard. It's really odd. So I thought it was just the truck needing the break in, and I mean partly it was because the driveline was brand new, but and it did get better, but come main time it was still better than it was all through practice, but it was still I had to be really easy on the throttle. I couldn't if I punched it, it would just wash right out.
Now, what about shortening the arm, the rear arm, and or anything about braces? I'm not familiar with the techno.
As far as like the chassis braces,
Yeah, putting some more flex into the chassis.
so it's recommended by Techno and then everybody that runs the truck to always run the braces. So I don't
Yeah.
want to take any of them out. Like the rear ones are known to break already as it is, the plastic ones at least. So I wouldn't want to remove any of them.
I would
Um,
never advocate removing all braces by any means.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I
Well, I
know,
mean,
like, say, the Mugen, for example, we usually have like a long brace and a short brace for different
yeah,
tuning options. So things like that.
yeah. It's. I don't think the truck has a long and a short. I think it's just the long.
Hmm.
Um, I know an e-buggy though. I don't run a center or a rear. I only run a front. That's just been a thing for like 8 or 9 years now for that car. We just take them out.
Hmm.
Um, and then what were you mentioning about the arms?
Shortening them,
As
perhaps.
in,
Moving. So, do you have shims on between the C and the D block?
no,
Okay, never mind.
no, yeah, they're fixed. And that
Okay,
that that aspect.
yeah.
We have wheelbase on the hubs, but not on the inside.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Answers my questions. Thanks, Mike.
It's not possible. So,
Taylor, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
You want to talk about popping your nitro cherry?
Oh yeah.
It was a little
Popped
rough.
that all over the place.
Yeah, you
What's that?
did. It was a little rough, wasn't it? There in the beginning.
Not in the very beginning, but the first like little bit, I was like, wow, this thing is awesome. And I still had a great time the entire weekend, the whole time with it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
but then ended up getting taken out by a truggy in practice.
It was
I
Mike.
think that was late Thursday. No, it was a
I wasn't there yet.
yeah, much brighter colors than what Mike runs. I don't know who it is, and I'm not going to call them out, even if it was them. So it is what it is. But that led me to tearing apart the front end multiple times to try and chase down
Yeah,
an
you tore it
issue.
down like 6 times.
Yeah, and luckily, very thankful for Kevin again to help find what the problem was, and ended up having one other problem in Q2 that led me to DNFing. So it is what it is. But ran the main and had a great time, and one of my favorite classes now for sure. I'm like
So
extremely excited to run it again, and of course, like the Monday, Tuesday for me after a race like that, I think about everything that had gone wrong or even things that have gone right. And I'm like, what could I do to make them better and things like that. And so now I got like a ton of like things in my head that I want to do. My whole game plan too on Thursday, Friday during practice wasn't to chase like setup with that car a whole bunch because I needed to break it in. And I know a new car, as it breaks in, chasing setup, you're going like one step forward, but then two steps back because once the car breaks in, it's gonna feel a little different, anyways. So I mostly just focus on breaking in the new engine and breaking in the whole new car, and it ran great. So I enjoyed it so much. I'm so thankful for, of course, Kevin that helped. Toby was my pit guy, although Toby, when he dropped me in the main, waited till after the car went. He's not used to dropping the down and quiet. He set me down after the cars behind me passed me. So if
Oh,
Toby
nice.
listens to this, I like to just give him a rash of crap because I try to pit him to the best of my ability, and I'm never going to let that down now.
That's funny.
And shout out to Mike Pavia who helped me tune my carbon stuff as well on Thursday, and pitted me and just let me out there for practice a whole bunch and helped me break in the motor. So that was a big help as well. So.
Your buggy. So your initial problems where you kept ripping it down. What was the problem, and like what was the like what ended up being the issue?
Um, so when the truggy hit me, it hit me in the right front wheel, smack dab in it. And then after that, I went straight into like the pipe and I couldn't drive it straight. So I took it off and I like recentered everything in the front end and my toe links and all that other stuff, and it looked good. Went back out for another thing of practice and I couldn't get it to drive straight for the life of me. And tore it all down. And then we thought maybe like um, the ball was sticking inside the hub or something like that, and tore it down completely. Couldn't figure out what the problem was. Put it back together. Went back out for practice. Still same problem. And it wasn't until I think early Friday, I believe it was. I can't remember if it was Thursday night or Friday. We figured out it was the servo. I think it hit hard enough where it broke a tooth, and the servo wasn't able to recenter. So I wasn't blaming it on anything uh, equipment wise. So I was just chasing like all the links and stuff. I just kept tearing it down, like redoing the toe links and checking over the arms, looking for cracks, things like that. But car was great. Just it looked. I didn't tear the servo apart, but I just assumed that it probably chipped a tooth or something like that. Alex, how was your weekend racing?
Uh, mediocre at best. Short course. I did really well with short course, considering how I'm racing against mini truggies and it's a big track and short course parachute and there was like 30-mile-an-hour winds. And I got too excited in the main and tried making the jumps that I could make every jump there, no problem. But the wind was really high in our mains, naturally. And, I was falling back and I was trying to catch up and I just wasn't being smart. So I probably lost a lap just on trying to make jumps that I shouldn't have been trying to with the winds and landing on my lid and whatnot. Um, but yeah, the truck was still very fast. I'm still working on it. I'm not settled with it. I know it can be faster, and like how fast it is on a lot of parts of the track. I know when I get it figured out, when I can start pushing it, it's gonna be a fucking piss missile. But e-buggy, I'm still battling that skill set I talked to you guys about, where I'm just trying to get to that next level of starting to push harder and trust the car more. Like I burned a couple 40-second laps in my C main, but then the rest of the laps were 44s, 45s. So like I ended where I belonged. But I know I can drive faster. I just need to do it every lap. So I'm going to be battling that all season, which, when you start trying to drive different, and it's like with any sport, like I know with pool, if you start using a new technique, you're going to get worse before you get better, but that better is way better than how you were doing it before. So growing pains. But I was more excited. I was more focused on announcing and providing a good product on the media side for the guy on the mic, and I felt like it went really well. And now that I popped that cherry, I feel like it's only going to get better too. So super stoked for 2 weeks from now. Less than 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I
I
can't
haven't
wait
even
to
been
go
counting
back.
down, to be honest. I've been
Yeah.
too busy.
I can't wait.
Yeah. Mike and I are like, last night, Mike and I were playing. I was playing VRC, and Mike's just, I don't know what he was doing. Mike's just like, I want to play with toy cars. I'm like, well, get on VRC with me. And he's like, no, it's not the same. And he's like, all right, I'll
I
get
ended
on
up getting
VRC.
Yeah.
Other notable things from this event. I have Gavin Gibbler's Whip-de-doos as a comment.
No,
What do you guys think about that?
so that whole thing, there was this in the corner going into the JC roundabout. It was a double, then you land and go into this turn. And if you hit the takeoff of the double right, you can cut the corner of the pipe and probably shave like 2 or 3 tenths off your lap. It wasn't hard to do. Even in my C main, I did it like 2 or 3 times because I was trying to make up time. Did it cleanly. Wasn't hard to do. So Gavin was doing it like cutting a lot off and shaving a shit ton of time and doing it fast during practice. Kevin caught wind of it, and Kevin made the rule. You hit the pipe, whether you're taking off or you're landing or you endanger a marshal or whatever it may be, you're getting docked a lap. But if you jump, don't hit a pipe, land, don't hit a pipe, you keep on going, it's fine. So that was the golden rule all through qualifying. Gavin's doing the jump-de-do, no problem. Come main time, it was like second lap. He did the jump-de-do, crushed the pipe. And I was like, I'm sorry, Gavin, I gotta take a lap. And hated doing it, but gotta enforce the rules, and it sucks because that was like the one time he didn't do it cleanly, but at the same time, he was the only one in that main doing it. So like you didn't have to do that to be fast. Like I saw it a lot during qualifying where him and Aiden Manchanda were going wheel to wheel, trying to set TQ, and he was doing the jump to do, and Aiden's just doing the clean line, and they were still right there with each other through it all. So whether it was faster or not, or more of just a place to pass, we might find out at the Northeast Showdown to see if people bring that back around. But might be a little different now that they see I'll cut laps for it, that we weren't joking when we said that. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Although, as much as I like Gavin, I think it's important that you did enforce it. Yeah, to do what you're saying, no matter what.
Yeah.
Stick to what-
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would have definitely much more enjoyed watching Gavin wheel up there at the top and battle for the win with everyone. But if I let it slide on one guy, then I gotta let it slide for everyone. So sorry, but not sorry. But I hope Gavin comes back to Northeast Showdown and kicks ass, honestly. Like, I hope it fires him up. So that's what I got on the jump to do.
What other noticeable things did you see while you were in the booth? People are doing.
I don't know. I don't know if there's really anything I want to say. Honestly, just everyone listens really well there. You know, everyone puts their cars down and goes out to Marshall like that, you know? And like sometimes I had to like get, hustle people over the mic, which happens. That's kind of standard. But I wish it wasn't standard, but it's just nature of the game. Other than that though, racing was great. I mean, and like how the track was, it was really interesting. Like both driving it and watching everyone race on it. Because the track was a very easy layout and it was a very fast layout, but it was very hard to be fast on it. You know what I mean? Because like,
Yes.
if you weren't against the pipe on every single turn, every single apex, you're losing at least a second on your lap or 3 seconds. You know, you could feel like you're setting the heater of all heaters and you could burn a 45. And you wouldn't even be blowing out turns to do that. It's just that you're 1 or 2 car lengths off the pipe and you're not running the tight line. So it was really interesting to see as all the different skill sets from novice to intermediate, 40 plus and pro. It was interesting to see all that. But I think that's really all I got on that.
Where's our guest at? What time's he arriving?
They said 9 o'clock they'll be on.
Okay.
So,
Alex, are you making any changes to your vehicles for the next one? I'm curious too about your short course truck. If you're gonna try anything else.
Yeah, my short course. So I still have
Tires.
No, I'm not changing my tires. I'm sticking to my 2-tire rule for short course, either positrons or whole shots until JC releases their relapse or whatever it is for short course. But
Mike, does ProMotion make short course tires?
No, they do not.
Okay.
But I'm still set on my front pills, my A and B pills. I'm still pretty laid down for adrenaline to get more initial steering. So I think if I go like full tilt, because that'll help in the bumps, and it's going to get rid of a lot of that initial. Now, whether it'll get rid of too much overall steering or it'll hurt me, I don't know, but I'm going to try it.
You say help in the bumps. Did you consider the layout to be a bumpy track?
No, not really. But I would consider it to be more bumpy than how I have it set from adrenaline.
Okay,
And this is something I never considered at Motorama too. Because that was a new kit at Motorama, but I copy and pasted my setup from adrenaline, and I never considered my pills changes at Motorama, I don't think so. But I'm more doing it for the turns, and that's just like an added benefit, is it's just gonna handle some bumps better. Other than that, and then I'm gonna put 10K in the rear diff. I'm gonna do what you did, Taylor. I think that'll help out a lot. Start with that. I might go lower front, center, and rear, but I want to do more testing with it. And I'm gonna put the spoiler on it, the little spoiler that goes on the rear bumper that Techno sells that they don't advertise. I'm either gonna buy one or I'm gonna.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna buy one or make one because I got some Lexan. And then my e-buggy, I really don't think I'm gonna change anything. My e-buggy. I mean, my e-buggy was awesome. I could have been on a better tire probably in the main. I ran detoxes in green. I think blues would have been a little more consistent. I think the detoxes were a fine tread. I think blues would have been a little better, but the greens were definitely fine. But I just need to drive the e-buggy better at the end of the day. It does everything I want it to do. I just need to handle it better. So
Main day definitely changed quite a bit as far as what tire compounds would be more.
Oh yeah,
favorable.
yeah.
Green towards the morning, and then went up to a blue.
Right.
Probably 15 races in or so through the day.
Yeah. I wasn't ready for that change. I was never expecting that, especially for the temperature. It was kind of colder still. And with the wind blowing, I figured the track would be like 50 degrees on top, which I'm sure it was, but just how much traction there was. And the track was fairly smooth too, honestly. There wasn't too much cratering going on. But those are my plans.
Alex, what was your the worst part of the weekend then for you?
uh I had shock dilemmas. So what was it? Friday night. Mike brought his setup board and we planned to put my e-buggy on the setup board just to see how everything looked, make sure everything was right. And Mike was trying to set droop, which I've never done in my life, and he's trying to set droop and like the front right shock wouldn't go down.
Yep. Yeah.
Boy, let's rewind this back a little bit. You've never set droop before in your life.
Not once in my life.
And we can rewind a little bit before. So we found a bent shock shaft.
Yeah, well,
right?
yeah, that's where it started.
Yeah. So yeah, it started with a bent front shock shaft.
Yes.
So I took the shock off, gave it to Alex, said rebuild this while I do other things.
Yes.
Okay. And then go ahead and continue.
So yeah, Lauren had another shock shaft for me. So I put a new shock shaft in it. And then like while Mike is doing other things, he's like, you're running the wrong links, right? I'm like, well, yeah, but like I bought the new links, but I didn't have them when I needed those ones. But like they're there, and he's like, okay, I'll put them on. I was like, by the way, my A-arms are kind of walled out, but I have new ones. Mike's like, I'm fucking replacing this for you. This is stupid. Thanks, Mike. And then Mike's like, you're running the wrong links on your steering turnbuckles. I'm like, no, I'm not. He's like, yeah, they're a little different. See? I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. So basically, like every other link on the car was wrong. Shock shaft bent. Fixed that. Put it all back together. Put it on the setup board. Was doing the things. And the right front, like, just would not droop down, like, all droop out of the A-arms and everything. It would not droop down to match the left. So, like, we're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, checking the shock shaft, checking for any binding, cannot find any binding. And then we got to the point of taking both shocks off, measuring them with calipers, and realizing there was some sort of internal droop going on. Did not put internal droops in these. Took the shock apart. Found out when I put the VRP pistons in it a few days prior, before this race at my house, I never checked to make sure I removed the internal washer from the old pistons. So that washer got crushed amongst running it, so it was bent like in half and became an internal droop setting and was just kind of floating around amongst all the oil. But everything was fine. So fixed that. Then e-buggy was fine. And then with my short course on Saturday, in the last qual, I thought I broke my diff case because I saw like my car was sitting on the ground in the back end, which breaking the diff cases on them is kind of common. So I'm like, oh, whatever, I broke my diff case, pull it. Grab the car and like everything's fine. But my right rear shock feels like there's literally air instead of oil. It just and so at the end of all the qualifiers, took it into the camper and we're working on it. And I took the shock off and I went to just pull the shock, like decompress the shock, pulled the rod, and I went, and the rod came right out while the shock body and the cap and everything were still together. Like, well, there's my problem, and found out that the piston came unscrewed from the shock shaft. How? Don't know. Never put new pistons in that besides when I built the kit. But mended that.
Never heard of her.
I guess, yeah. I don't know who she is.
And, I'm really glad that I went over Alex's car. Not only to fix like the arms
there
and
was
all that
the
stuff,
rear outdrive
but
too, or one of the outdrives.
the rear outdrive like set screw that holds it onto the diff pinion. His car wouldn't have made another qualifier. That would have backed out and like loosened, and he would have been front wheel drive.
Seen that happen too much.
Yep. It's habit to check those two screws every single time.
Well, our guests are ready. Do we have anything else we want to add to LCRC for the Flashpoint opener?
No, I'm good. unless you guys.
Mike?
I'm gonna guess that Taylor has one more night of sleeping before then, and Alex has 2 more showers
Half a shower.
before the
I
next
am
race.
on
Half a shower.
Yeah.
Okay.
an actual 3.5, I think, hours of sleep right now, Mike, because I got done
Wow.
at 1 a.m., woke up at 4:50 a.m., got a shower, ate breakfast, let my dog out real quick. I was up in Rochester at 7:30 this morning for the Macon Tracks end of season race, and then I got back here at like 7:15. Uh, Made some to eat, set up the podcast stuff, and we're back at it.
How he's not falling asleep right now, I don't know.
Ain't no rest for the
I
wicked.
told Alex earlier, in between the rounds at the table, I did this a couple times, and I was catching myself.
But
That's funny.
I'll go ahead and hit the commercial. Give a little shout out to ACS Hobbies in Monroeville, and we'll get our guest on here. So if you're in the southwestern Pennsylvania area or the greater Pittsburgh area, get down to Monroeville. See our friends Tony and Collie at ACS Hobbies. Button. There it is.
So, how do you hobby? At ACS Hobbies, we've got everything to fuel your passion and spark your creativity. Whether you're into RC cars, model trains, boats, or planes, we have a huge selection of kits, parts, and accessories. Need paints or tools? We've got you covered. Test your skills on our RC crawler course or race on our oval track. There's always something fun to do. Plus, discover an awesome range of games for all ages. ACS Hobbies is your ultimate destination for hobby enthusiasts. Visit us today and start building your next adventure.
Welcome back to this whole deal. Joining us, we got Gavin Vucina. Do we call you the X-Ray anything? Boo.
No.
We just say boo.
You also,
Boo.
after knowing you for like 8 years, you still mispronounce my last name.
How do you say it? Vucina?
Vucina.
That's.
Yeah.
Do you want me to say it like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you technically doing the X-ray pose right now, slightly off camera?
No.
Yes.
Where's the
He
button?
is.
There's the button.
There it is.
Okay. So yeah, we got Gavin Vucina
Yes.
back with us, and then we got one of our top 20 drivers, Techno sponsored, Joey Bourdon, joining us. Thank you for joining us, Joey. And Gavin, thank you for hosting Joey at your house and doing butt buddy things. So he can be here. Taylor, I'll let you roll with it since you got the piece of paper with all the things.
So, Joey, I got you. Technically, you're number 17 right now in our Drivers' Point series, if you've been following that. We've been keeping track of all the American races, mostly all the big dirt races, things like that. And right now, because we got a tie for first place with Mayfield and Fuller, you're sitting number 17. Also, in just talking about your most recent race at Silverstate, you took 8th place in E-Buggy, 5th place in E-Truck, 6th in Nitro Truck, and 11th in Nitro Buggy. So how do you feel about that race that you just finished up, since we're on the subject, Joey?
Yeah, so I was definitely working really hard leading up to Silver State. I kind of needed a good one since just the last, kind of since the start of 2025, I've been kind of on a dry streak, and it was really nice to get a good handful of results there out at Silver State. Everything worked really good. I was really happy with the cars, and driving is starting to come together. So yeah, definitely a good shift of momentum for me, and just gonna look to keep on working and keep on getting top 10s. So that's the goal.
Yeah. So going back a little bit more of a background for you. How long have you been racing RC cars for?
I started, I believe, in the winter of 2015. So coming up on 10 years now. I believe this is my 10th year racing. And I've been with Techno RC since 2018.
Wow.
So yeah, one of the longer drivers on Techno RC. And I've been really happy with the cars. Everything has really been coming together in the last couple of years since we acquired Mayfield, and yeah, we've got a really solid team. Very happy with everything.
What classes did you start out running with?
So I started with a Traxxas two-wheel drive slash at Neo RC in Hartville, Ohio. and I drove that for about a year. Got into 4-wheel drive, short course or core truck as it was called at the time, and then eventually got a low C8 E 4.0, and that was my first e-buggy. And yeah, just kind of first year I was into racing, I was hitting the track like 3 times a week at that Hartville track there, and I think that just helped me progress pretty quick. There was a really cool group of guys out there, and that was definitely like the heydays. Like it was super fun, and really definitely miss those days.
Then once you started with techno, what classes were you running then? Did you start right away with all 4 classes, nitro, everything, or did you kind of ease it in a little bit there?
Yeah, so I started out with just a techno e-buggy. The car at the time was the point 4. It was before the 2.0 platforms, and I raced that for a little bit, and then I got a point 3 e-truggy, and so I was just electric for a little bit. Waited a year or two to get into nitro buggy, and I'm glad we did because whenever we got into nitro buggy, it was just a complete disaster, like flaming out every race. My dad at the time was doing all my wrenching, and he was new to it as well. So it was definitely a big learning curve for us. But after all the time, we've gotten it figured out, and um, yeah.
You said your dad was doing some of the wrenching back then. Is he still doing wrenching and stuff for you now, or are you doing it all on your own? Do
Very
you have like a pit guy, like
Yeah, so
mechanic?
my dad's my pit guy.
Okay.
Typically he always helps me out with pitting, and then I do, I would say 95% of my wrenching now. Like all the rebuilds, everything, I handle all that, and my dad will just kind of help out here and there. He's kind of the tire gluing guy, just because I don't really enjoy gluing tires. I can, but yeah, it's sucks. I would rather do other things. So he's always content with gluing tires, and that's kind of the main thing he spends his time on now.
I know you said you have like a dry spell here in 2025, but I want to view it that way because I've seen you still do extremely well. I would say in the last 2 years, I've really seen your name come up quite a bit and a lot of the big races. So, what would you attribute to your success in the last few years?
Um, Main thing is just the support from my dad, to be honest. He's, obviously always supported my career, and obviously everything, all my success, I owe it to him first off, but also just hard work, like going out to the track, a couple times a week, going out to all these big races. It's super important if you want to get better to race with people that are much better than you. And I think all my experience that I've gotten over the past, I'll say like 5 years, going to all the big races, first few years, you're getting bottom 5 at all those events, first couple years, just getting destroyed and getting destroyed. And then slowly you start to close the gap, slowly you start to close the gap. And yeah, just racing with people that are better than you, I think that will make you a lot faster, and it forces you to be more consistent because otherwise you're just getting lapped all the time. And I went through that for a very long time, but now we've kind of gotten to the point where we can start getting up into the top 10 and even some top 5s here and there. And yeah, it's also something to do with the cars, with the team, just overall confidence in your whole program as far as wrenching, knowing what you're doing with the setups, like going to so many different tracks, you get a pretty good knowledge of what you want to be doing for setup at a certain track, and then what you're going to want to change going to a different track, and as well as like what changes you want to make over the race weekend. Yeah, I think just experience and practice is what contributed to my success at this point.
Practicing with people better than you, so why are you hanging out with Gavin this weekend?
Well, we didn't get to run
Sorry,
much.
man.
Yeah, kind of got tsunami'd.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got like probably 7 or 8 tanks in this weekend, where
Okay.
we were supposed to be running every day, but got only a couple hours here and there. But
Yeah, we didn't get much time.
yeah,
Was
when I
that
was
WO? Is that where you guys were?
yeah, yep.
Yeah.
When I was growing up in Ohio, I was very fortunate because we had Joe Bornhorst, Ryan Lutz, Spencer Heckert, Adam Johnson, he was really, really quick at the time. Paul Ciccarello, and then there was a very solid group of young, fast drivers. So pretty much anywhere we went, I always had somebody much better than me I could base off of and see what I needed to improve on. And of course, that was probably consistency and speed. But yeah, Ohio was definitely a big part in getting me faster.
So in between some of these big races and stuff, how often are you practicing? Like, give us like kind of like what's a rundown on your schedule, Joey? Like, are you going to the racetrack like 5 days a week to practice, then a little bit of maintenance, like one day off, or what's it look for you guys?
So you've got to have a good balance of keeping your cars maintained and running as much as you can. And for me, that kind of looks like running 2-3 days a week and wrenching um, another 2-3 days a week, just to keep the cars maintained. But it's just depends. If like over the spring and the summer we have so many races like back to back, or maybe there'll be like a free weekend. Like for example, I had P&B in, was it April, March? P&B was in March.
It was
March,
the first
April.
Well,
April 8th.
because it's my mom's birthday weekend.
Yeah. So for example, what I had done after that was I went to P&B, and then I got home. I wrenched on my car for one day, drove out to Illinois, and stayed at Jared Wiggins' house. I stayed there for 6 days, and we were just running, and 5 or 6 days. We were running and then wrenching, running, wrenching. And then when I got home, I had like basically a week to get all my stuff ready for Silverstate. And at that point, I had run enough. I just wanted to get all my cars ready because, getting ready for classes for a race like Silverstate, it takes some time. So I try to focus as much as I can on making sure the cars are completely prepared for the races.
When you say completely prepared, how much are you tearing them down? How much are you rebuilding them? Things like that. Give us like an overview. Are you polishing every single hinge pin, replacing almost every part except for the chassis? What's that look like in between races for you?
So what my rebuilds kind of look like now is, take the front rear clip off. I take everything off the front rear clip basically. I change the bearings out, clean them, do diffs. I do take out the hinge pins and just wipe them off. And then once everything is kind of apart, I just spray it down with some foaming cleaner, and then, brush it and use air compressor. And yeah, I say my rebuilds are pretty intensive now. A couple of years ago, maybe not so much, but yeah, it's definitely like the most important part going to a race, making sure that you don't have any worn out parts. That's a big thing, like making sure you're just on top of all that stuff. But yeah, I'll do shocks, diffs, replace worn out parts, clean everything, change all the bearings, and change the chassis when the time is right.
When you're doing the fluids like the diffs and the shocks and things like that, and say you're going to Silver State, do you just kind of like ballpark an idea what might be a good starting point? Do you have like a base setup that you're going to most of these tracks with already, or you wait till you get there, run practice, or how do you handle that?
So a lot of it just comes down to like what we've been testing beforehand. For example, for Silver State, I had gone out to Wiggins' house the week before, and his track was insanely blown out. Like he took a shovel and literally just dug holes in his track. So we were able to get some pretty good testing in there. And what I ended up on at his house for diffs and shocks was the exact same thing I ran at Silver State for the entire week. So if it's really, really nice when it works out like that. But generally I'll have a base setup and kind of know within the first few practice sessions at a race if it's where I need to be or if I need to adjust a little bit. But nowadays everything's pretty close.
That base setup when you get to some of the tracks, and we'll talk about something other than Silver State. We'll just throw another race out there like PNB and things like that, because we just touched on Silver State. How many changes are you making at a racetrack to chase the setup for the track, especially when you got like a limited amount of practice? Are you
Ooh.
making a whole bunch of changes and then kind of just crossing your fingers when it comes to the time for the mains and hoping that sticks?
Like Motorama, for example. That's
Oh yeah, Motorama's a
Yeah.
good one. Yeah.
Um, it's way less changes than you probably think, because what's nice about this team that we've got with Techno now is we have, Mayfield, Wiggins, Heckert, all these guys usually are at the same race. And so we are all the time bouncing ideas off each other's head. Maybe if somebody tries something and it's obviously better, we all switch to that. Or like if I really like something, maybe I can tell somebody else and they might switch to it. So it's not that I'm just working by myself on everything, if that makes sense.
Yeah. it
Um,
does.
but I try to keep the changes like to a minimum, because you don't want to get kind of crazy and over your head with how many changes you're making. Like, because you need to know what change does what. And if you're stacking changes every single run, like 2, 3 changes a run, you don't really know what's changing what on the car. So it's important that obviously you have a good base setup. You go to the track, your car should be close, and then maybe just make a couple changes here and there, just base off the drivability, what you want it to do better. Maybe you rotate a little bit more, or maybe you want the shocks to be a little softer or stiffer. Just kind of simple things like that.
I got a question, and Gavin, you might be able to answer this too when you're at the bigger races with your X-ray camp. As a team, do you guys tend to you get in your huddle and you like talk about some ideas that might make your car faster or whatever you need to do? Do you guys ever have like like a list of 3 or 4 changes that might work? So then you send 3 or 4 drivers out each with a different change, and then you come back and recircle and talk about what worked and what didn't. Do you ever do stuff like that and try to expand the testing of the car? Or
Uh, well, I don't really go to that many big 8 scale races with like the X-ray people, but normally what I'm on is completely different from what everyone else is on because I don't drive like anyone else.
right?
So, like what Chicky and them run is pretty different from what I run. Also because my car's like really old, it's different from what they run.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of just do my own thing.
Okay.
I'll tell Paul, be like, okay, and it doesn't really work for him, just for the way that he drives and what they already have on their cars and stuff. It just doesn't line up as well. At least for me, I know it's different for Joey because, well, they all run pretty close to same stuff.
Right. Joey, what do you think on that?
So as far as techno goes, we're all pretty much on the same setup, to be honest. Besides, I would say Seth Van Dalen, he's a little different. Just the way he drives, he's like freaking punched everywhere, and he drives completely different than all of us. So his setup always looks a little bit different. As far as like doing the same setup all the time, like changes, it's not something that we're like forced to do where we're all like, okay, Mayfield tried this, everybody has to put it on their car, or you're gonna be way off, you know? It's like, okay, I make a little change for me, that helped. Maybe I'll tell him, but if he doesn't feel like he needs it, he won't put it on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Joey, are you running one of those 4-3-2 gear combos that I hear a lot of the techno people are?
So we've been messing around with the diffs a lot, and I don't know exactly how far they want me to get into that, but diffs is like the main thing that techno is focused on. And 4-3-2 has been a part of that, and as well as other combinations with diff gears. And it seems to work really good, but we don't want to lead people in the wrong direction when we don't know if something is absolutely 100% better. So as far as like setup sheets, that may be part of the reason why you don't see a lot of setup sheets out from the pros right now. It's just because we're trying things and we want to make sure it's really dialed before we have everybody running it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. It's actually doing the general public a favor that doesn't understand what the change is.
Yeah. You want to make sure
Exactly,
you
yeah.
put out a good product to your first time racers and everything, or whoever you may be.
Yep. Yeah, Techno's very big about making the car as drivable as possible for the average person. Like, just some guy who happens to like the Techno cars, he can go and buy one, and he'll take it to his local track, wherever that is, and it should be really dialed with the box setup. That's what Techno's really big about. So when we're having all the pro drivers test stuff, like for example, the 432, and maybe it's not very good, we don't want to give that information to that guy at the local track, and he's gonna be way worse. You know what I mean?
Is it hard for you guys on the techno when the focus of the company is to make something kind of easy to drive for the general public, or you're trying to find something that's faster? Because usually you have on one hand easy to drive and the other hand is fast. And to try and meet in the middle, sometimes it's difficult. Is there a tough balance for that with your driving style or anything, Joey?
No, that's a great question. I think the absolute dream scenario is when you have both of those things kind of come together,
Right.
where it's easy to drive and fast. And that's something that we're all trying to do all the time because we don't want to drive a really hard car. You know, maybe you can make it insanely fast, but if it's so hard to drive you can't do 5 minutes clean, then it's just not worth it for any of us, not just average guy. So we try to focus on things that are easy to drive, but as well, they also have pace. And I feel like we're doing a really good job of that since kind of the beginning of 2025. We started changing some things, like, for example, the wide side guards on the e-buggy. It's a massive help in drivability, a lot more stable, but you don't lose pace. You're actually gaining pace from not being squirrely, or you have that extra stability, and that creates pace, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You guys
Alex
got
is
any more
very
setup
against the wide
questions?
guards, by the way.
Yeah, it's dumb. I refuse. I like the look. I don't care how
Yeah,
much
I'm
better it is.
Yeah, I had been driving the narrow e-buggy for let's see. I got a Techno e-buggy in 2018. So I had been driving narrow e-buggy from 2018 to DNC or TNR 2025. So that's 7 years of driving a narrow e-buggy, and I thought I was gonna drive the wide e-buggy and hate it, but I drove it and it felt really good. Like, my lap times were just as good, if not better, and I wasn't making as many mistakes. So I was like, yeah, it really wasn't a difficult transition for me. So I definitely encourage everybody to try it out if they haven't yet.
Alex, you should definitely try
I
it.
got one more narrow body I got to destroy first.
Alex, just drive my car.
I got to
we're
use the
getting
body I
down.
have. When I need another to buy another body, then I'll get the S15 or whatever the kids recommend and put the
We'll build
wide
a
body
massive
on
quad at Josh's this coming week, and then you can just go practice every day, and it'll be gone in no time.
Quadzilla.
it. Deal.
What body are
The
you
wide-
running, Joey? The S15 or the P2?
Yeah, just the S15. They have the
Yeah.
P2 as well from Jacon. I haven't tried that yet. I know a lot of the X-ray guys love that body, like Dakota and Chicarello. They both love it. I haven't tried it yet personally.
Mike, do you got some more setup questions? I know you got stuff brewing in your mind.
Not specifically yet. I know, like, just going back to the wide body though. Running that for the first time, it surprised me how different the car was.
It's definitely
Like,
different.
Yeah, like at first I didn't like it. The second time I had it at the track, I was like, okay, this is for the better, you know.
Yeah, I got really, really wild at Silverstate, and I put the wide body on my e-truggy, and I was because Wiggins had been running it at his house when I was there, and I tried his e-truck. I'm like, okay, feels pretty good. So I got pretty wild and threw it on at Silverstate, and somehow ended up with a P5. So I'm like, okay,
There must be
works
something
fine.
to it.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah,
blasphemy.
my e-truck is still brand new to me, so like I still have the stock body on that guy. I have a set of side guards for it. I just don't have a body for it yet.
yeah.
Um,
I got so wild. I ran the nitro truggy body on the e-truck with the holes
Okay.
cut out and everything. Yeah.
Oh yeah, nice.
More air.
Yeah.
Let's say kind of like back to like the setup stuff. So like I know one sheet that I always reference back to is one of Wiggins' setups from like the 2.1. It actually translates really well to the 2.2, except I just tone it down a little bit because I can't drive like Jared. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit less aggressive, but like I don't know. That mixed with I don't know what like shock pistons you're running in your car, if the stock ones or anything else, but like I tried the VRPs for the first time and they're really nice. I had the MIPs in it prior to that, but
Yeah, that's been a big change we've made since the kind of 2.1 setups that we had been running for a while, is just how light we run the pistons and the shock oil now. Because something we've very recently started doing is running the shocks on the outside holes on the arms. And when we had tried to do that before, let's say with a 2.1 car, it always felt really stiff because when you move the shocks out, it gets stiffer. When you move them in, it gets softer. So what we ended up doing was moving them out and drilling out the pistons a little bit more just to make it softer. So you have the same feeling, but also more stability with the shocks out. Um, so yeah, that's been a massive change. It's just softening up the shocks because we get a lot more steering. The car's a lot more kind of drivable. It's not so like stiff everywhere. Does that make sense?
So, do you know? I at least looking at PNB, I think it was PNB, where Mayfield was not running a front sway bar,
Mhm.
where everybody else had one on. Why?
I
That's just yeah.
I
I was just
started
very
doing more
curious
front
about that.
bar. I
Oh
actually
yeah.
had gone from January all the way until PNB. I didn't run a front sway bar.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know if I could say it was necessarily better, but I mean I'm running one now and it feels good. That's kind of just something we did when we initially had moved the shocks out because it had made the car a little bit stiffer, obviously. And while we tried to do that, soften it up with the shocks, we also took off the front sway bar just to get some roll and get the front end moving around a little bit more. But
Yeah, and like you said, like there hasn't been a lot of stuff posted recently. I'm really curious when you guys start to put stuff out, like where you guys are actually at, like what you've
yes,
been doing.
Wiggins just made a setup sheet at Silverstate. I encourage
Okay.
everybody to go take a look at that because that encompasses a lot of the things that we've been running recently.
Mhm.
And I think everybody can be really confident that very, very soon there will be a wide range of setups out because we're starting to kind of really close in on what's working very well for us. And I think everybody should be very excited for that to come out.
Cool.
Is the
Did you
Wiggins
say-
setup sheet already
Go ahead.
out?
Yeah, yep. You can look up his setup sheet, his starting setup sheet from Silverstate. He posted that. I
It's on
believe.
his Facebook.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Did you say what pistons you are running, Joey?
So it changes from event to event. At Silver State, I was on 6-hole front and rear. The front was 3-hole 1.5, 3-hole 1.6, just a Techno flat piston, the 15.8 high flow, and then the rear, we were on MIPs with the blue valves, just 6-hole by 1.5 with
Interesting.
425 front and rear. That's what I ran the entire race at Silver State.
Still with the 73 mil rear springs, or you guys go
78,
longer?
78 front and rear.
78s.
Mhm.
Okay.
When you went from inside hole on the arm to outside hole on the arm, you said you guys are running significantly thinner fluid. Could you guys give us like an idea of how much thinner you're running? I know it's going to change per temperature and stuff, but I was just curious.
So the first thing we ended up doing was making the holes bigger on the pistons just to soften it up. And then I believe we have been running pretty soft oils kind of in the past year, but recently we've kind of been around like in the range of 350 to 450 in the front, just depending on the track and what piston we're on. Like Silver State, for example, I was 425.
Yeah, that's pretty light.
Yeah, we've been we've been way lighter than that. I think at DNC, Seth Van Dalen was going around asking for like 300 or something, or if anybody had like 275. So yeah, it's gotten pretty gnarly. We're trying to
I've
kinda get
been
away from it.
I've been noticing myself. It seems just the 2.2 enjoys the lighter oil. Like
Mm.
no matter the like, I think at Motorama I was down to like 300 weight in my e-buggy. Not saying that was the fast setup or anything, but that's where I found to like it at by the end of the weekend.
Yeah, I definitely agree. They like to be a little bit softer. You just get a little bit more steering
Mm-hmm.
and kind of makes the car feel more in the track versus where we were, for example, with the 2.2 or 2.1. I mean, we were like so stiff. The car was kind of not steering so
Right.
consistently, just kind of hitting things and just not. It had like way too much pack. now we've kind of gone down in pack a lot.
I'm not gonna
Moving away
lie,
from
the
setup,
best.
I was just going to ask what your favorite event is every year.
Favorite event? Mm, that's really hard.
Mugen
Every single
Challenge.
year, Mugen Challenge is a really, really underrated race. Like one of the best for sure.
Talk to him,
Now,
Joey.
why would you say that before we move on?
LCRC is like my favorite track to go to, kind of just to have fun. Like, obviously, they don't have the biggest race every year with all the top guys, like, for example, a Nationals would, but the atmosphere is just always so chill. And, Kevin and Krista, they always do a great job running the program, and they just hired Alex, so I'm excited to see how that goes.
You're gonna hate it.
Um,
I'm joking. I hope you enjoy it.
yeah, but
We were
I'd say
talking
my
earlier
favorite
how
event-
we're going to dock laps already, so
yeah,
we missed that.
I'm gonna have to be careful of that. But
Yeah.
my favorite event I go to year to year is probably Nationals or Silverstate. Obviously, Nationals it changes track every year, but the competition is always top level, and I really enjoy that. Silverstate, I just really enjoy the atmosphere. Like we're at the casino, we're at the hotel, we never have to leave, and it's just really fun. We get to go chill by the pool, and go into an RC race, and whenever you're done racing, you get to go to the pool. It's pretty nice.
The extracurricular activities, as you could say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not 21 yet, so
Can't gamble. Can't drink.
not getting the full experience, but maybe one day. Yeah,
How old are you, Joey?
I'm 19. Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I just learned Friday that Gavin's older than Joey.
Mm.
In a fun turn of events.
Hmm.
Didn't know Gavin was older than anyone. I thought he was just 2.
Well, there's our other Gavin, Yoder.
I thought they were the same age.
Oh. Joey, what's one thing you're planning on implementing forward to help you succeed even more than where you're at right now?
That's a good question. I got to think about that.
Yeah, sorry for hitting you with a hardball, like interview type questions. I won't ask you where you see yourself in 5 years next or anything.
Honestly,
You're all
I
right.
think the best answer I can give to that is practicing more with nitro buggy and less with e-buggy. Because for almost all my career, I've always practiced with like 90% just e-buggy. And that doesn't help for the long nitro mains. It doesn't help your consistency really. Also, the setups don't necessarily translate from e-buggy to nitro buggy, whereas setups with nitro buggy very easily transfer to e-buggy all the time. So just recently, I've been really focusing on only practicing with nitro buggy and doing longer runs, which is helping my consistency. And I think over this year, over the summer, if I just really focus on that, I believe my consistency and everything should just improve.
Why is it the setups and things transfer over from nitro buggy to e-buggy, but not vice versa?
That's a good question. I believe part of that is the 3 mil versus the 4 mil chassis. On the 4 mil or on the e-buggy, we have the 4 mil chassis, which is very easy to drive at a lot of tracks, versus the nitro buggy has a 3 mil chassis, and it flexes a little bit more, so it's often can be a little bit more active and susceptible to the track than the e-buggy. So that's why when you're testing with the e-buggy and something feels really, really good, if you throw it on the nitro buggy, it can sometimes get a different result. Versus with the testing with the nitro buggy, you find something that works and you throw it on the e-buggy, and the e-buggy is already going to be more stable, a little bit less, a little bit more stiff. So the e-buggy can just take it a little bit easier.
I didn't know the chassis were different.
Neither did I.
Me
I
either.
didn't either. Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, Technos, I believe, have always been, or since the 2.0 platform came out, it's been a 4 mil chassis for e-buggy and 3 mil for nitro buggy.
A big difference.
It is a big difference for me in handling. Yeah.
Did you has there ever been any thought amongst the Techno team about running a thicker chassis on the Nitro or stiffening it up more in different ways or anything like that?
Yeah, I've tried a 4 mil chassis before. I tried one at the Worlds in Spain last year, and I thought it was really good. But a lot of the tracks here, we just don't need it. It definitely makes it worse on bumps when you have a 4-mil chassis because it's a little bit more stiff and
It's not forgiving.
Yeah.
3-mil chassis is a lot more forgiving on bumpier tracks.
Interesting.
The some with Spain though is probably just how high grip it was.
Oh yeah, it was.
You know,
Take the highest grip track you've ever seen and multiply it by 10, and that was Spain.
So carpet.
Higher.
Really?
Yeah,
Like the tires are softer, so
I mean, I went to Redovon, and for practice 1, we started on A2s, which is a very hard tire. Started on A2s, and we're just traction rolling all over the place. So
Wow.
and that was the start of the event. I mean, like imagine going to a race time event or Motorama or something. You're gonna throw on A2s. You're not gonna have any grip. You know, there is just another world.
Which, like, and excuse me, I'm ignorant to this, but like, the track the Worlds was at in Spain, do they like? That wasn't like a fresh layout or anything. That was like the same layout for like the past year or some change, wasn't it?
It was a little bit different.
it
Some of the
was all-
sections were about the same.
everything was redone though, so the surface was completely
Okay.
blank slate.
Okay.
I think by IFMAR they were required to make so many changes for that.
Oh,
I think
yeah,
it's
that
supposed to be
makes sense.
70% different or something.
Okay.
And it was definitely not like 70% at most. So it was pretty tough for the Americans just starting out, but obviously some of us got a very good hold of that and others didn't. I was kind of on the lower end of it, but first worlds and it's normal.
Was that also your first race out of the country?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
first time out of the country was Spain.
Have you been out of the country since, or for racing?
No, not yet. I mean, I'd like to get up to Canada at some point.
That doesn't count.
They have, I guess, yeah. But they have the what is it? Quebec Classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to get up to that at some point, but I don't know. I've got a passport now, so if Techno ever wants to send me out of the country, then
Ready to go.
I'll be happy.
Are there any other tracks kind of on your bucket list that you want to check out of the country or even cross
Out of the
country that you haven't
country,
been to?
I really want to go to Sousa's track that they have.
What's that one?
400 RC complex. It's like huge.
Somewhere in Quebec, or?
It's on Ontario.
I think bucket list tracks for me. I'd say Padova in Italy. It's that really big indoor track. It looks really cool. Fuencorral Corral in Madrid. That's where they do the buggy land race. The plan is I'm hoping to go to that this year, so that'd be really, really cool. Other tracks, I like to go to the Philippine Masters. Maybe next year would be a cool time to do that. They just had that race this weekend. A lot of people have probably seen that, and it looks like a pretty crazy surface. So it'd be a cool experience to go to that.
Are you prepared for the high level of grip out of the country now after being exposed to it once?
I have a better idea of what I'm doing, but like in America, we don't have anything that close to run on, so it's always going to be a learning curve when you get there. It's just how prepared are you? And I think after Redovon, we've definitely figured out some things. So I think it'd be closer, but still, it's a completely different world than in the U.S.
Is it discouraging for yourself to go there and not have any practice compared to the people who race on that type of surface all the time? Do you find it that way, or is it an exciting challenge? How do you view that?
I'm definitely an like realistic but optimistic person. Like I know I'm not gonna win the race. It's just not gonna happen. So when I go out there, my goal is to just drive as consistent as I can, and hopefully I'm as close to the pace as I can be. And that's my happy spot. Is when I'm driving where I know I'm kind of at my potential, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. So talking about traveling and stuff, we have a list of questions we always ask on the Slowest Fast RC podcast, and that's what you do for your RC storage and handling.
Storage and handling as far as like at my house?
Well,
Or
transporting your cars, your tires, and all that other stuff.
okay, so um
See if he uses the
I'm
lingo.
lucky-
See.
I'm lucky enough to be on the JCon team, so they always have really great tire support at the races. So that's nice. We don't always have to bring a whole OGO full of tires. And
Wrong.
Alex, what would they call a huge crate of tires?
It's a tire coffin.
No,
tire-
I'm talking like the thing that we stand on.
Oh,
Full of tires.
Absurd. That's
A
what we
shipping
call it. Obnoxious,
Well,
maybe.
What do you call an OGO, Alex?
Douche canoe.
Yeah, that. The douche canoe.
I was gonna say, for anybody at Joey's level, the amount of traveling that they do, they're all using an OGO. Every single one of
And
them.
I
You
yeah.
have, you have
I just
to.
bought another one. We have 3 of them now. So
Yeah, they're the only thing that will survive a plane.
Right, yeah, I think
Yeah.
they're way more convenient on a plane than taking like even a douche box. It's like, you know, the douche box would be convenient for having the hard sides, but if you're traveling on a plane with a douche canoe, you're gonna have your radio in the hard radio case or something for protection, so it's not a worry then. And then that's just way more convenient to fly through the airport than taking fucking this thing with me that's 3
Is
feet
that a real
wide.
thing, a douche canoe?
That's what they call it.
Yeah,
I've never heard of
yeah. Well,
That's just what.
It's an Alex
it's
thing.
it's a new thing since Motorama. The OGO is a douche canoe.
Tell them about the other douche box.
Well, if you refer to the reel I put out today, so
I did see that.
the thing I have, and like other people have,
Like the Protect box.
Like that?
box?
no, like that, like the modular hard plastic box. That's a piece
Oh,
of it.
Yeah.
That's a douche box. Okay, and then like the classic Protec or JC, like with the fold up top, and it's the vinyl sides, and it's like the hard plastic cardboard with the drawers. That's a douche bag. Douche canoe's the OGO. Tire coffin's what you put the tires in, and then a backpack is your douche pack.
All the douches on this podcast.
The douche is spelled DOOSH for political reasons. Make that clear.
People don't
So
know what
going
OGOs
back,
are.
Joey, you fly with 3 different OGOs?
Yeah, 3 OGOs, and usually I'll have my carry-on OGO, which is like just a small carry-on suitcase. I'll usually put like my nitro buggy on that in that, and then usually we'll have like another hard case suitcase to put like tools and kind of the more fragile stuff in that. So yeah, it's a pretty big operation as far as packing goes. The night before we fly out to a race, like if it's just me and my dad going, we'll have 2 50-pound carry-on or 2 50-pound bags each and a carry-on. So we definitely have room, but DNC was my first time going out to a big race or flying to a race by myself. 'Cause my dad was just busy at home, so I went out there with 2 50-pound OGOs, and that was 4 classes. So had to take apart all my cars, front clips, rear clips off the cars, jam everything in 2 OGOs. Couldn't bring like any tires, so it gets really, really tight if you're kind of traveling by yourself.
Not to brag, but I can do a 10 scale race with 1 OGO and a carry on.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I mean,
That's the one nice thing.
you can also fit a 10 scale buggy in a backpack, so like that helps.
Well, I put at Masters of Dirt like 2 years ago. I had all my cars in my carry on, my charger in my carry on. My radio was wrapped in clothes in my backpack.
And they were running spec tires, weren't they?
Not for me. I took my own tires because I ran mod.
Oh,
but
okay.
Zach didn't have to take any tires because he was running the spec class. So
I wish it was like a Formula One or Supercross where we could just fly out to the race with our backpack or maybe some clothes.
and never someone
Go out to the race and all our
Everything be
cars and
there.
everything are just laid out
Radio.
on the table and ready to go. That'd be freaking awesome.
I want to throw the, controversial opinion out that like at the bigger races, for me at my C main mediocre intermediate level, I would gladly pay like $50 or even more for an entry fee if they just, I sign up, what classes, all that, I'm running intermediate e-buggy or whatever. They're like, oh, we do spec tires. Here's your tires. Give me 50 extra bucks. I'd be fine with that because then I don't have to bring a whole tire coffin and then whatever. They could even take the tires back from me, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I'm not saying we should go to spec tire racing, but like in the hypothetical world where it could be like F1 where some of the shit's already there.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna start the spec tire debate, I think there's places for it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like maybe nationals or worlds for 10 scale or something. I'm fine with that being spec tire, personally. But also you have to make it so you're having these companies compete. Like JCon, aka aka is out, but what are the other hot
What's
race
that other one called, Gary?
promotion, whatever, all these
Whatever.
tire companies,
Yeah, I was
they're
hoping
trying
he
to
would say the
set
name of his sponsor.
So like when you have all the pro drivers racing, I think it helps.
He's looking for shims.
I think it helps just to have the competition and like having the brands with their pro drivers show off their product because the brands need to sell tires.
No,
So,
you're definitely right, and we should, in the A scale world, we should definitely, besides a worlds or a nationals, we should really never see a spec tire unless Traxxas Jado takes off and you're running the box lock tire.
yeah, I've done one spec tire race, and that was the RC2 class at RCGP in South Carolina, or it might have been North Carolina. But
oh yeah, you're right.
that was the only one I ever did, and I had fun. I mean,
Yeah.
really, anything, no problems or anything. So I don't see an issue with it now.
I think the best way for a spec tire to do is the event makes their own tires for one race.
That'd be
And
fun.
nobody has an advantage because they don't know what the tire is going to be before the race.
Oh, we can just get on Alibaba and we're gonna have a slowest fast national race with Alibaba tires. They're gonna be the balsa compound and the oak compound. You get softs and hards, and that's it.
And you just run them. Everyone's doing donuts the same.
Yeah,
So you just go,
and the tread's terrible.
yeah, it's just like a cross brace or whatever. We were talking about those earlier today. Just a massive lug.
I have a question for all you guys. I like to hear everybody answer. What do you think is the best tire of all time, or what is the best tire you've ever ran?
Green Reflex, best tire of all time.
Taylor?
I'd say Reflex is the most versatile. When I first started racing, I didn't quite agree with Kevin Muma there, who was always Reflex, Reflex, Reflex. But now, after I got a little bit more experience on my belt, you can make a Reflex work almost anywhere. It could be the fast tire of the day, or if you got some fluffy type blown out track, you can get it to work. So
It will always
if I had to
work.
bring just one tire, I think I could get a Reflex to work anywhere.
Mike?
Yeah, it's gonna depend on surface, but overall, I'd say the whole shot.
M4 primes, bring them back.
Facts. Please bring them back.
But let's say like whole shots and electrons were always my favorite tires.
You were a pro line guy for a long time, right?
For about 7 or 8 years, yeah.
Okay.
And I'll back Mike up on the whole shot comment. It's definitely like for my short course, it's whole shots or positrons, but whole shots work everywhere. At least I don't think I ever tried whole shots. So I have them. I never even put them on my e-buggy because I always just go to reflex first. But
Yeah.
goodbye.
There was just something with the techno car and whole shots to where the car just loved whole shots.
Yeah, I never got to run a whole shot on the Techno car because I had joined AKA, I think, in 2017, and I ran them until 23 was my first year on JCon.
Yeah, and like when it comes to AKA, like the gridiron compared to whole shot, in my opinion, there's no comparison. The whole shot
Yeah,
was just
the gridiron's
better.
pretty huge compared to a whole shot.
Yeah.
Gavin, I was on M4 Primes today. It's funny you say that.
Yeah, making tracks.
Yep.
How was it?
97 entries. It was pretty
That's good.
I was like
That is
watching
good.
on Live RC throughout the day. I wish I was able to go, but Nationals is like in 2 weeks, so I gotta watch how far I go.
Got to mow more lawns, son.
Yeah. Well, we spent too much money on golf this weekend.
Yeah, we spent probably over $100.
Just golfing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's the other thing too, Jerry. I found out you golfed. One of these races that we go to, I'll bring my.
Aren't you
clubs, we
coming
go.
out to the fucking next one, the showdown, Joey?
Yeah, I'll be at Showdown, yeah.
Well,
We might not be good at it.
Yeah, I attempt
just
to
pick up
golf. I hit a good shot here and there, but yeah, I'm not good.
Typically,
I mean,
whenever
I'm not great either, but it's fun.
typically when we actually make good contact, it's either way too left or way too right.
Yeah.
It never seems to go in the right direction.
I'm
Right.
only trying to Happy Gilmore.
I'll have like 2 really good shots around. I mean,
Yeah, like
obviously, I get my competitive fix through racing, so golf is kind of just something to do for fun and get outside.
that's how I am with drinking.
Do
It's my
Do you-
competitive fix.
you have any plans of going to the cancer race at LCRC?
when is it?
It's in
September.
I might be in Spain during that.
Okay, that won't work. We'll figure something out. We'll,
Well, are you
me and
doing
Gavin,
are you doing
we'll go play
Mugen
golf
Challenge?
sometime.
Also,
I might be in Portugal.
Well, that's
We'll see.
that's lame. First of all.
Yeah, I love Mugen Challenge, but we'll see how the schedule works out. Like e-buggy Worlds, which they're holding in Portugal, is like the weekend after the Mugen Challenge, or it
Okay.
starts like the Tuesday or
Yeah.
Wednesday after Mugen Challenge. So it's really
That's a
tight.
tight turnaround, yeah.
Yeah. It'd be tough, but
come-
it just depends if I go to e-buggy Worlds or not.
Co-
If I'll do Mugen Challenge.
Come run Nitro Car at Mugen Challenge, and then don't even touch your e-car, so then it's ready to go.
What I gotta do is get another e-buggy, and then we'd be dialed.
Click that
which would be
purchase
sick.
button. What's your account? I'll buy one for you right now. Well,
Alright.
I mean on your account with your PayPal or whatever.
I might have to do that when I go home. We'll see.
These are running.
Gavin, are you
these-
going to Masters of Dirt this year? You see, they just posted what it's
No.
going to be.
That's I
It's
mean,
Arizona,
I'll have to talk
isn't
to
it?
Zach. I'll have to talk to Zach and Van, but I'd like to go, but that's also really far, and the flights can't be cheap.
You can probably do round trip for like $500 if you do it now.
Well, we would fly out of Latrobe for like $230 round trip with all of my stuff.
Okay, we'll fly out
That's
of
like-
Pittsburgh, son.
Yeah, but then you gotta, unless someone drops you off, you gotta pay for parking for a week.
I'll drop you off, dude. I'll gladly drop you off.
Gavin, you can come to my house, park at my house, and
get-
I'll drive you.
Or
there.
you can just get an
I'm 30
Uber.
I'm like 20 minutes from the airport.
You could get an Uber from Mike's house for $10.
That's not too bad.
No,
I'll
it's
see what
50.
Zach and Van want to do, because I'm not gonna go alone. Those are my travel buddies.
So I'm
Fair.
not a 10 skill guy. Who do you guys got picked for the 10 skill Nats coming up?
I'm not a 10 skill guy.
We're not 10 skill
Uh,
guys.
None of them.
I'm not really either, but I'd say I don't. Dakota's wicked fast in 10 skill now.
Watching him
With on the new
drive-
X-ray stuff, it's crazy.
watching him at Clash at Hoosier was like crazy.
Is
Like,
Mayfield doing 10 scale Nats?
I mean, he's
I don't think
sponsored
so.
by Schumacher, but I still
It's
haven't
A scale
seen him drive.
season. Yeah.
Yeah, he hasn't been doing anything 10 scale at all. So
He's got to
got a
pay that
World Cup.
mortgage.
yeah, I don't think he's planning on going to 10 skill worlds or anything. Like
Huh.
8 skill has just been like everybody's so locked in on 8 skill right now. just making
Understandably.
the car as good as it could possibly be, and like obviously I don't know the details of his contract or whatever it was, but I don't think he had any obligation to run 10 scale.
Yeah.
If there was like any conflict with schedules or anything, he had no obligation to run 10 scale. So he's just chosen to stick with 8 scale right now.
I think I'm probably
I
rooting
just-
for Dakota in that, but who are you rooting for, Joey?
Aiden
I'd
Horn.
say Aiden's always a top dog. He's always in it.
He's
Or
got
ta-
that dog.
Or
in him.
Tater.
I like Chase. Chase is a good dude.
Yeah.
Really fast guy. Obviously Dakota will be up in the mix. I don't know. I just hope it's a good race. To be honest,
Me
like I
too.
don't want me to just completely run away with
Thanks
it.
for the encouragement, because I'll be there.
I think if Gavin makes the A, that'll be very impressive.
I'll just be happy
Yeah.
to beat one pro,
What do you
that's my goal.
define as a pro, Gavin?
because I'm always like, every time I'm at a race, I'm always like the first person after all the pros. So that's my
Yeah,
goal, to
like
just maybe be fun.
right here, I have LCRC's results pulled up from Expert E-Buggy. There he is, right behind Aiden Manchanda, Mark Sosa, on the third spot.
Yeah. My battery didn't dump on the last lap. I could have got second.
Yeah, you were still. I mean, you were still right there, even
was
with your
close.
battery dumping.
Gavin, what do you define as a pro?
I don't know, someone that gets free stuff and, gets paid to go places.
Okay.
I think it's
I'm
fair.
just-
Yeah.
I just do this for fun, and I'm happy to do well sometimes. So, yeah.
Joey, I got another question for you instead of sitting here with dead air, making it awkward.
All right, sure, let's hear it.
Let me see. What's one thing you wish you had figured out earlier as a racer in your career? So whether it was like tire choices, setup, practicing more, what would that be?
It's a good question. I think the most important thing is just not getting upset when you don't do good. Like for a solid couple years, I would say like 2020, 2021, 2022. I would just kind of not have that much fun whenever I wouldn't do good. And back then it was pretty often. So, yeah, I think just learning to have fun, like even if the results are bad, it's really important because that's what makes you want to come back and keep improving. Like obviously, when you don't do good, it should be kind of a push to make you want to practice more and just work harder. And for me, that's kind of where I found improvement was just switching that mindset from being upset to just wanting to like think about what went wrong and just improve it. Yeah, I wish further back I would have worked on that a little bit more, but also just like slowing down. Like whenever you're getting faster, you're just pushing really, really hard all the time, and you see this in a lot of young kids. That they're just pushing all the time, and their consistency is just nowhere. And that was what my case was. And um, you don't really improve until you realize you got to just slow down and focus on being clean, not making mistakes. Because maybe you can go like 2, 3 tenths faster on a like fast lap, but if you crash, there's 5 seconds gone, and that's a whole qualifier worth of fast laps gone. You know, so just focusing to calm down is kind of the biggest thing. I wish I would have worked on it a little bit sooner, and happy to be figuring it out now. Yeah.
I want to add something to that. Like one thing that has helped me in the past year is taking away, like, you get nervous as you walk up to the stand or whatever, like so before a qualifier, and then like your first half of the race, you're just like you don't feel like you're driving, like you feel like you're driving, but you don't feel like very connected. Just kind of take that pressure off yourself with like before you like even before the race, just go drive my toy car around the track and don't really worry, like just be connected to the car, don't worry about doing good, because if you feel comfortable, you're going to do good. And if your mindset is not like, if you don't feel comfortable like just walking up to the stand, you're not going to do well that race because you're going to be in your head the whole time. So if you just go up there with like as little stress as possible and pressure on yourself, you'll do a cleaner run. But if you go up there with all these thoughts in your head, you're gonna like make too many mistakes without like, if that makes sense.
No, it totally does. Joey, after some of the races and stuff like that, you were talking about reviewing things, thinking about things. Do you like to write things down? Do you go back and watch some of the live video and study what the car was doing during your mains, things like that, and think about how you could do things differently, whether it was choosing different lines, watching what the car is doing, watching what you're doing, watching what your other competitors are doing, trying to pass people, things like that?
So I don't have like the best memory when it comes to racing. Like I can't remember every single mistake I made on the track. So, oftentimes I'll write down as much as I can as far as what I made for setup changes during a weekend, and um, so I can kind of look back on that and see if there was anything I'm kind of, I don't know why a thumbs up came up.
We haven't figured out why it does either.
Yeah. So as far as like the mental stuff goes, Like if I go up the stand with the wrong mindset, not focused, I can kind of pinpoint that really easily after the race and be like, okay, my head kind of just wasn't in the right spot. Because for me, I need to be 100% locked in on driving smooth and really focus on every single line. Whenever I go up the stand, first few laps, I need to make sure I'm thinking about every single thing that I'm doing as far as where I'm putting the car, how I'm landing things, whatever. Um, so like if I'm not doing that correctly after the race, that's the first thing I note is like, okay, my head just wasn't in the right spot. Next time I go up the stand, I need to focus on thinking about every little thing I do. And that like really thorough way of thinking about it has helped me improve a lot. Just being really meticulous in every little input that I make and kind of focusing on putting the car in the exact same spot every single time.
I want to add on to that too. So since I like started running on road, the one person that's really helped me, like especially look with mindset going into races, Ben Teets, he's helped me a lot from Austin Town. One thing he told me to do, it was like my third race weekend. We were at Norcar out in Ohio. He said like every qualifier and race you go out for, to make sure like to keep it everything consistent to where you do the same thing every race, is he said, I know for on road it's different than off road, but like you wait till all the marshals are out there, you do one warm up lap, and then you wait till the race starts. That way your car is going to be the same before every race. The tire sauce is going to be the same amount of wear that it wore in, or I guess you could say. That way you're from the start of the race, everything's going to be the same race to race, so that you can tune yourself in to the race even like better, if that makes sense. That way you can have a more consistent run event to event. That way there's no like odd things happening. Everything will be the same. That way it's just on you to just drive the best you can.
Joey, when you're walking up on the stand, you're saying, talking about trying to get your head in the right mindset, visualizing where you're putting the car every single time. Do you ever catch yourself in the wrong mindset? And how is it you get yourself into the right mindset?
Unfortunately, a lot of times you don't catch it. Sometimes you just go up the stand and you drive the car and you don't think. And then after the race, you're like, oh, shoot, I really didn't do a good job of that. But yeah, recently I've been really focusing on like definitely trying to realize it whenever I'm messing up. And sometimes that'll just happen when I make a big mistake on the track, have like a long marshal or something. I'm like, okay, yeah, I need to just calm it down because obviously things aren't going correctly. Um, so yeah, it's definitely really difficult, like a lot harder than people think to have your mind constantly so focused on every little thing that's doing. It's like definitely really hard work and it can tire you out pretty quick. Um, but that's what the guys at the top are best at. Like Dakota Finn, I would say he's like the most composed and mentally focused guy that is in RC. Like you never see him on the stand like go like whenever he crashes or something. It just doesn't happen. He's always
He just looks like the same.
always completely locked in. Like
He'll fly off the track and just be like, okay.
Would you say he's
you
more
guys wanna-
composed than Mason?
Mason is very
Oh
composed
god,
too.
Mason. He's just like,
He's a robot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean he has like everybody has emotions obviously.
Except for Mason.
I
Iceman.
it's yeah, like definitely if you're not close to him, you can definitely see a lot of that. Like he's just always the same exact emotion all the time. That's definitely what it looks like. But I can assure people he has emotions.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a few guys that are really good at that. Just
There's some people
staying
that
calm.
get emotional. I'm not gonna name anything.
Yeah.
But the P&B story was hilarious.
Who was that?
I won't say,
Uh.
but this person was jumping up and going.
We'll catch up on that.
Write the name.
I got one question.
Oh, yeah. Hilarious.
I got one question. I think it'll be our last question. It'll go for the both of you. And Joey, we'll start out with you since it's your first time joining us. What is one of your biggest gripes in the hobby, like hobby wide, or Something of tea you want to touch on? Do you have anything?
Right? Like pet peeve?
Yeah. Yeah, something that pisses you off.
Oh, I gotta think about that.
That's a hard question.
Some drama.
I don't know. I feel like I'm a pretty decently chill guy most of the time. Nothing gets me like too fired up.
I mean, like how like the parts industry or tire game or how many companies or
I already have mine.
racers.
Yeah, let Gavin go ahead. I gotta think about
My like least favorite thing is somebody will like a brand will come out with something, say like a body or something, and everybody will run it and say how amazing it is, and I'll be like, well, did you compare it to this? And they'll be like, no, this is just so much better. I'm like, how do you know? You didn't compare them. And then or they'll like swear by something, and I'll be like, well, did you try anything else? Or like, no. I'm like, well, you gotta compare it to other stuff to see if it's better. And they just like swear by something without having any like evidence behind it, and it like drives me crazy. I'm like, literally like try something that I know is gonna be better, or everybody knows is better, but they just refuse to try it.
No, that's definitely a real
They're
thing.
stuck in their own mind. They're like, it worked at this one place, so it must work everywhere else. Like, no.
I definitely.
There's something.
Oh, go ahead, Taylor.
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say there's something I've learned when it comes to like nutrition or training aspects. Whenever you come across somebody that uses the word best, usually stay away from them in their opinion because there's no such thing as best. It's always subjective or relative, and there's
Yeah.
always options and things like that. So whenever somebody says this is the best tire, usually I take their opinion with a grain of salt because of that. Is that kind of along the lines of what you're saying as well, Gavin?
Yeah. Unless there is something that is 100% like there's no question, but like that rarely ever happens. Like that's like very like 1 in 100 type of thing. If something is like absolutely 100% the best, nothing can compare. But like what you said, it 100% varies person to person.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah,
think
that's why I always. Sorry, go ahead, Joey.
that's okay. I think I have a couple answers. None of them are like serious things that like get me crazy fired up. But one thing is like people changing cars all the time.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
you see people.
That bothers me
want
so
something
much.
Yeah. It's not ideal. Like I mean, it doesn't piss me off, but like
Why?
love-
It's just like, what are you doing,
you
dude?
don't love seeing that.
They don't even give the car a chance. They
Yeah.
build it to kit spec. They change like 2 things and they say, this car sucks.
Yeah,
And then they
it's-
sell it.
If somebody at my local track,
It's
they
me
go
with
around the
carpet.
techno for a little bit, and then they go to like a different car, like Associate or something, and then switch to like a freaking
X-ray.
X-ray or
And then,
they're switching cars all the time. I'm like, you gotta just focus on one,
Yeah,
Um,
switching cars all that often is like the worst thing you can do because
Yeah.
not everything works the same for every car. So and you're just gonna be chasing your tail every time you change a car.
Yeah, I think another thing, this one's not a big deal. Like, obviously, people want to know what the pros are running all the time, and that's a good thing. But if there's like a really, really slow guy at like just a local club race, and he has to have the pro setup on his car every single time, and it just doesn't work for him, that's something like
Yep.
I'm like,
Talk to him.
Yeah,
No,
like
I see that a
not
lot.
every single driver needs a pro setup to be good. Most of the time you just want something easy to drive, and that'll be good for 95% of guys.
I see that
Yeah,
happen a lot at Motorama in today's age, where a bunch of the big shoes come out, and then people will walk up to Drake or Mayfield or even yourself, Joey. Oh, what are you running in your shocks? What are you doing like this? And they're like, oh, I did what he told me to do. How long have you been racing? This is my first season or whatever. Like, dude.
Yeah, like to me that's not a big issue. Like we're always happy to help people out.
Right, yeah. But they take your
but-
word for, well, not like I'm not speaking for you here, but like it seems from my end of the view, there are some racers that tend to take the pros' word for gold, and then when they say I'm running 450 in my front shocks, they stop listening there when the pro starts saying but this is what I like to do, and I'm running these custom pistons, and I have this, I drive like this, yada yada yada. All that person heard was I'm running 450 in my shocks, and that's what they go and do.
I'll tell you my least favorite question in all of RC. It's when somebody comes up and they ask you what shock oil you're running.
Every brand is different.
Oh yeah.
Like
I'm writing this
Somebody
down
comes
so
up-
when I see you in a few weeks.
like
I was just
ask
gonna say that's the
Joey,
first thing I'm gonna ask you. Like, hey Joey, what do you have in your shocks, man?
Like you gotta ask shock oil and piston together.
Yeah,
'cause
that.
they're entangled. You can't just ask the shock oil or just the piston because
Well, not only that, you need to know springs, shock position. That all matters.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alex, you're muted.
Sorry. I could come up to you and say, like, what are you running? You could say 35 weight. To me, that I might click TLR 35 weight, or I might click associated 35 weight. Meanwhile, you got PT and Flashpoint that just has the actual CST. So, like, if I go to ask someone, I'm like, what weight are you running? And if they tell me a 2-digit number, then I'm like, okay, now what CST is that? Or I ask them the brand and shit. And then I follow with I've learned to follow with the whole piston thing, especially now because VRP wants to run 20 holes and you're a madman with MIPs in your rear and stocks in the front. And, there's so many different pistons to try. And, that's a whole different discussion.
Something I ran into like 2 or 3 years ago is like on X-Ray we all pretty much ran the same pistons, and like whenever this was, I would have like some Huddy oil, but like I wouldn't have the right oil, so I would just go into the shop at LCRC and buy Flashpoint. Little did I know that the Huddy and Flashpoint, they are like 100 CST different feel wise than like what the bottle says. So like Huddy 450 will be like Flashpoint 550. So my car would always be like dookie in the main because my shocks were technically 100 lighter than what they should have been. And we didn't I didn't figure that out for like a year or so. Like my car was just straight up balls for the race. And I didn't know why until Jason mechanic was like, "What oil are you running?" I'm like, "I don't know, Flashpoint from the shop." They're like, "Well, we run Huddy and we're on the same oil, and yours feels like water compared to ours." So that's something I think people should do is if you're gonna buy shock oil, stick to the same brand for all your oil. That way you'd get used to what weight feels like what. And if you mix brands, yeah, they might say they're both 450, but it's 450 relatively to the rest of the weight of that brand, if that makes sense. Like, because I know like PT might run a bit lighter than like Huddy, and like Flashpoint's like a little bit different. But as long as you have the same brand oil for all your oil, it'll be like you know what I mean? I-
We know what you mean.
Okay.
Well, I think we're gonna close it up on that note. Joey, do you have anyone you want to shout out or thank or anything like that before we close it out?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys first for having us. I really appreciate it. It's been very fun talking to you guys. As far as our sponsors and things, I'd like to thank you to Techno RC, J Concepts, Tecan, Reds, MKS, JCP, Boom RC, and Mach 1. I rambled that off pretty quick.
Perfect. Nailed it.
and
You've been here
also
before.
My dad and my family for all the support. I appreciate it.
And Gavin for housing me. For
Yeah,
this weekend.
and Gavin and actually Greg Vucina. Thank you to him for the biggest on this weekend.
Who's the
Big
big spoon and who's the little spoon?
We got separate
Separate
beds.
couches.
Because I know
Uh,
Gavin's the big spoon with Jared Henry, so I didn't know if he sticks with that title or if he alternates with different. Nonetheless, Gavin, do you have anyone you want to shout out or thank real quick?
Yeah, I guess. My sponsors, X-Ray and RC. Okay, yeah, them.
Nailed it.
Do the pose.
Where's the button? Are you gonna do the pose for us, Gavin? Gonna give us?
What?
Are you gonna give us the X-ray pose?
I did earlier.
What's the X-ray pose?
The poster where they're like,
Oh yeah.
Bam!
It's like that somewhat tough guy, somewhat maternity type pose.
I need a soundboard.
I suppose was after X-Ray posted that one guy with like
the sick.
Oh, the lion man.
And then all of the Awesomatics team, literally, they photoshopped that. They all did the X-ray pose, and they put that guy's hair on every 10 people.
Well,
like, in
even
a
Tim
line.
started doing that to our local guys. He gave Chris
Yeah,
Patterson the
pretty-
hair.
He did it to me, but for some reason, nobody saw that one, and everyone just
I
saw
didn't see
Chris.
that. Well, Chris's was just funnier. But anyways, Taylor, Mike, any closing comments?
Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, thank you guys for hopping in here, Joey. It's been a while. It's good seeing you again.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
thank you
other than
guys for
that.
coming on. We appreciate it.
Yep.
Maybe it does. Maybe it does that. If you put a thumbs up, it'll.
No,
send
it doesn't.
pop
I
up.
think it. I don't know. We haven't figured it out. Anyway, you click the button.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Joey, for hopping on. Thank you, Gavin, for dragging Joey out to WSCRC. It was awesome hanging out with the two of you, and nice meeting you, Joey, and nice getting some nice information from you. That's all I got. So we'll just
When do we expect the wheels to be dropped from this podcast?
so
Podcast comes out first.
it comes out Wednesday morning sometime. So then sometime Wednesday evening, maybe. Depends on how busy I get. Podcast will
Okay.
definitely be out Wednesday morning, which for the listeners it'll be now. Anyways,
Yeah, that makes sense.
so yeah. Thanks again, everyone. We're gonna sign off. Remember to like, subscribe, share, all that jazz, and keep it between the pipes. Keep it on its
Go buy-
wheels.
Keep it on all fours.
Buy some
Uh,
RC
Gavin.
RC
Yeah.
stickers.
Oh yeah, get some stickers. And slow is fast. See you
Have a
guys
couple.
later.